If you want to get lean in the next 8 weeks without starving yourself or spending 2 hours in the gym, then this one's for you. Here's what you're going to learn on this video. 3 key areas. First, nutrition, training and mindset. Second, a weekly strategy to follow. And third, science-based, no fluff advice. Stick with me for the next few minutes and I'll show you exactly how to structure your next 8 weeks. Section 1, nutrition is king. You've all heard this before, but you cannot outtrain a bad diet. Fat loss is a calorie game. So first up, you want to be creating a moderate calorie deficit. Use a total daily energy expenditure calculator to understand how many calories you need for maintenance. What you're then going to want to do is subtract 15 to 20%. Not doing any sort of harsh 1000 calorie drop. Take it bit by bit. For example, if you're at 2,500 calories maintenance, you're going to be dropping to around 2,000 to 2,100 calories. It's as simple as fat loss happens when you are in a calorie deficit. So a 15 to 20% reduction from your total daily energy expenditure will be a sustainable target. When it comes to your protein intake, you want to be aiming for 1 gram per pound of body weight to preserve your muscle. When it comes to fats, it's very important not to neglect these, as these are going to be essential for general hormone function. So you want to be aiming for 0.3 to 0.4 grams per pound of body weight for this. The same is going to apply for carbs. You cannot neglect these. You're going to need these to fuel your training sessions and your recovery. Next up, make sure you're tracking for accuracy. Use something like MyFitnessPal to track your daily foods to understand exactly how much you're eating. A study conducted by the National Weight Control Registry showed that self-monitoring improves adherence and overall results. Think about it. If you go about life guessing on everything you're eating, chances are you're going to make it quite hard for yourself to get to your goals. So tracking will ensure that you know what you're doing. A key tip to remember when preparing your meals is to use high volume whole foods that will keep you fuller and more satiated for longer. And it's usually best to avoid any sort of diet or low calorie versions of foods, as these won't typically keep you full for long. They'll taste really good, but in terms of overall volume, there's not going to be much there. Other tips that can help as you get further into these 8 weeks is to aim for high protein meals. These will keep you fuller, more satiated. Also, make sure you're prepping meals ahead of time. This will limit excuses and it will limit decision fatigue when thinking what to eat, because the meals will be there and they'll be ready to go. Okay, next up, train to maintain. The majority of fat loss won't come from the training that you do in the gym, but it's certainly going to help you hold on to or build muscle during this time. You need to remember that building muscle requires hard training. So when you head into a dieting phase, it's important to not let that performance level drop and ensure that you're still training to a high standard. So when it comes to your strength training, you want to be aiming for anywhere from 3 to 5 sessions per week. Ideally, you want to be on the higher end of that spectrum to gather more volume and more stimulus through the muscle across the week. Rep ranges should vary from 6 to 12 reps depending on the exercise. Higher rep ranges for more isolation movements and lower rep ranges for bigger compounds. But remember to apply progressive overload throughout these sessions. If you're not improving in certain areas, then remember, you need to be aiming to at least maintain your lifts or progress them, not regress. Next up, remember to add in NEAT, so non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So what is your NEAT? It's essentially anything that's not directly training. It's anything like daily steps, general day-to-day, and any sort of moving that's going to be burning calories as well. A good daily step range to aim for when you're in a fat loss phase will be 8,000 to 10,000 steps. You can of course surpass this, but depending on where your current daily steps are, you can either add 1 to 2,000 extra to begin with, and you'll see an initial response to that as you'll be burning more calories than usual. And last but definitely not least, your cardio. Depending on your starting position, this can be optional, but it's definitely going to be useful to make sure you can burn a good amount of calories in a shorter space of time. Depending on what form of cardio you do, a 30-minute session could burn around 300 calories, but of course the calorie burn will vary whether you're doing LISS, low intensity steady state, or HIIT, high intensity interval training. Not only is this going to increase the amount of calories you burn, it's also going to preserve heart health and make you fitter overall, which will directly translate into your weightlifting sessions. And remember, as you get further into your dieting phase, be wary of how high impact your cardio is, because it could seriously affect your recovery. So always keep an eye on those recovery markers. Section 3, mindset and adherence. Important thing to remember when you're going through this journey is that consistency will always beat perfection. If you don't have a coach, then make sure you set yourself weekly check-ins. Start off by taking your scale weight daily. However, try not to get discouraged if you see fluctuations throughout the week. What you ultimately want to look at is your scale weight from one week to another. There will be fluctuations throughout the week from anything from water, poor sleep, poor recovery. All of these things will impact your scale weight. Remember, progress won't necessarily mean daily drops in scale weight. It's going to be the average from start to finish. To improve your check-ins, you can also take progress pictures each week to watch that visual change and hold yourself accountable as well. Think about it. If you're going throughout the week and you know that your check-in's coming up, chances are you're not going to want to slip on your diet or your training to ensure that you look your best on your weekly check-in. Next up, make sure you're adjusting things when needed. Typically, you won't just be able to operate on the same calories for a full 8 weeks. There will have to be changes. So when's the best time to do this? The general rule of thumb is if you don't see much progress for 2 weeks, drop your calories from around 150 to 200. This will re-trigger that fat loss process and get you progressing onwards again. Remember, do not panic over small setbacks. One meal off plan doesn't mean that everything has to go out the window. Just get back on it, onto the next meal and back on plan. An analogy that I like to use is if you're doing laundry and you take all your clean clothes out the washing machine, but you drop one sock, you wouldn't just throw all the laundry on the floor and forget about it, would you? You'd pick that sock up and you'd move on. So approach your nutrition in the same way. Section 4, the 8-week blueprint. Essentially how you can approach these next 8 weeks. Weeks 1 to 2, spend dialing in your calories and learning how to track. Weeks 3 to 4, continue to build training consistency and build overall habits day to day. Weeks 5 to 6, start increasing your daily steps a little bit more and introducing a bit more cardio if needed. And finally, weeks 7 to 8 will be where the big final push is made. And if anything, you can introduce a diet break or a refeed if you feel like the visual look is fading. Remember, fat loss does need re-triggering at times. So if you get to a position where you're no longer responsive to the fat loss, sometimes a daily refeed where you eat a little bit more food will speed that metabolism up so that when you go back to your usual calories, will re-trigger that fat loss process again. So a couple markers to look out for is the rate of loss. If you're losing around 1 to 2 pounds per week, you'll be in a healthy fat loss range. Make sure you keep track of your energy levels, your mood, and your training performance. If any of these start to really lack, it might be part of the fat loss phase, but make sure that it doesn't go too far one side where you do the opposite of what you're trying to achieve. Getting lean can be difficult, but remember, it shouldn't be too difficult to the point where everything else starts to go downhill. So I hope this video helped if you are embarking on your fat loss journey. However, if you need a bit more guidance, then feel free to head to the links in my description where you can either book a free call with myself or simply fill out an inquiry form and I will be in touch. You can also drop me a DM on my Instagram and I'll get back to you immediately and see how we can come up with the perfect plan so you can achieve results like all of these that I've achieved with my clients and have me oversee your fitness journey with daily accountability, weekly check-ins to ensure that we do everything that we need to get you into your dream shape. So a bit of a different video from me today, but if you did enjoy it, then please leave a like. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more of these styles of videos and what you'd like me to cover, and I'll catch you on the next one.